Howdy, I'm Jimmy. Thanks for joining me next to my wildflower garden today. Been having a nice vacation, just doing nothing for the past week. I've been playing this video game Palworld. If you're a gamer, you've probably heard of this Palworld. I want to talk about it a little bit. But like always, I got some sort of lesson I'm trying to weave in to my talks about how money makes you stupid. I mean, let me tell you, the people with the most amount of money are the stupidest people on this planet. If you really study it, you look at these billionaires, right? They're the dumbest sacks of shit you could ever imagine. They're so stupid and they're crying, like they're just naked abusing people their whole lives. And they're really dumb and crude. And it's just interesting. It's been like a whole lesson in corruption my whole life, watching these people who have money abuse people who don't have money. And then the people that are poor, it's a very interesting scenario for the poor because, like, they have to get creative. They have to work, They can't just sit around and be served. So it makes poor people become smarter and wiser because they have to, or else they die, right? Or a big part of why money also makes you stupid is you could be one of these poor people that just worships money, and you'll join the military, you'll become a cop, right? And you'll abuse people for this group of people who has printed money out and have just made a giant Ponzi scheme, a giant capitalist scheme, right? I talked about in my last video, we're living through this whole time of capitalism and how sometimes we call it a cartel, but they're really just like pirates who are using money and trickery to harvest all the energy from a population in so many different ways and then transfer that wealth overseas, right? And then start another scheme, another bandit kingdom, right? Like, you really got to understand, when you live in an empire, when you live in a place that taxes you, right? Like, you don't just get to live and have land and provide and be one with nature. You have to make imaginary money and pay these people to live. You kind of have to understand how stupid that is and how stupid it is to go along with, and how it only leads to scarcity and destruction and people who defend stupidity and defend slavery. And it's just, you're right in the middle of it in the empire of America, seeing the battle of stupid people with money, right? Great examples of this. Just watch the PBD podcast. Paul Davidson, and I mean, he's this rich guy down in Florida. He basically pushes Republican propaganda and work harder crap, It has nothing to do with the rules of the game that we play. It has nothing to do with conspiracies, which I'm telling you, there is plenty of conspiracies going on. But Paul Davidson, like, just study some of these people who have a lot of money and listen to what they say. I had my conspiracy cap on, and I would think, like, man, they're saying this stuff because they just make a lot of money lying. But I'm really coming to these conclusions that they're just that stupid. People are just that stupid that they have these ideas of war is good, right? Because their little group, their little family benefits from wars where innocent people suffer, right? That's, to make a long story short, that Paul Davidson, right, he's a pro-war guy right now. And he's got to look at any rich person who's pro-war. And it's kind of like anybody or everybody should be anti-war, obviously, because you're destroying things. But the stupidest people with the most money are pro-war and cause the most destruction. It's just, what I'm telling you in this talk is pretty obvious of how money makes you stupid. And it tempts you into doing stupid things and being a stupid person here. It's one of their greatest weapons against the good people here is money. And I talked about Palworld. So, I don't know, if you're a video gamer, you've definitely heard of this Palworld. It's been the biggest game in the past couple weeks, probably the past month. But it's like a Pokemon game almost. But it's a survival sandbox game mixed with like Pokemon where you can go capture critters and put them to work on your farm. And like, it's a deep game. And I bought it for under $20. So, cheap game. I bought it on sale, but what I want to talk about is Nintendo, because a lot of us grew up playing Nintendo. We grew up playing Pokemon. I was a child playing Pokemon on my Game Boy, the first Pokemons on Game Boy, right? I remember all this and how I was so into gotta catch 'em all, right? I loved it. And if you follow the whole Pokemon series, right, it started off like red and blue, and then they had like a yellow, and now it's been like 20, 30 different Ruby, Sapphire, Diamond. They just keep making new games, new Pokemon over and over and over again. They don't really change the formula because they've made a lot of money off of Pokemon. And then right now you got the whole Pokemon card phenomenon, which is like shoot yourself in the head if you collect Pokemon cards. I'm like, in this age of, like, you need to have land and water and resources, you got all these retarded millennials and Zoomers going out there buying Pokemon cards as an investment. A Chinese card, piece of plastic, you know, and they're making tons of money, but I'm just telling you, it's making them stupid. These idiots collecting Pokemon cards, and then the power goes out, or there's no water, or there's no food. Nobody's going to buy your cards for nothing, okay? You want gold and silver. But if you've been following the Pokemon story, they're very, and Nintendo, right, because they own Pokemon. They don't put Pokemon on the computer, they don't put it on Xbox, they don't put it on Sony. It's a Nintendo exclusive. So what ends up happening is people who want to play Pokemon have to buy Nintendo products. And I mean, I was a child. This has been going on for over 20 years of this Nintendo Pokemon harvesting money from people with the same formula over and over and over again. I liken it to Madden football, Call of Duty, all these sports games. They just make a sports game every year. It's the same thing. There's nothing new, no new concepts, nothing inventive. It's just they made a bunch of money off their original games, so now they play it safe in their corporate boardrooms, and they just basically make the same game every year and maybe add a few little things, but there's no risk-taking, there's no creativity when it comes to Nintendo, Pokemon, Blizzard, Activision, all the major video game companies. So it's a fascinating space to look at independent games and watch when they go big, right? So this Palworld, they've been getting sued by Nintendo and Pokemon, and I've heard Nintendo has spent $40 million trying to sue this Palworld because, you know, in Palworld you can throw a sphere and capture a creature, right? So it's a similar thing to Pokemon, but I mean, you have hundreds of games where you can go out and tame an animal, you can capture an animal. It's just, so Nintendo is trying to patent this idea of capturing animals in video games, and the patent office wouldn't do it in America. They won't do it in Japan. So then Nintendo tries to do a patent for mobile because they don't want Palworld getting onto their mobile space. They want to own the mobile gaming with Pokemon, and that lost too. So they're not able to patent this. It seems like they're not going to be able to sue Palworld and win, right? The small studio of Palworld versus the gigantic Nintendo monster that's already wasted $40 million, when, and the whole point of this story is how money makes you stupid. These people in Nintendo, they created a great idea with Pokemon and they created these games, but they focused on the money. And they just said, we don't care about creativity, we want the money. And it's been going on for decades. And now you get this small fry rival who, like, they're nothing. A little tiny minnow in the water compared to the whale of Nintendo. And they're defeating Nintendo in sales, and they're kind of winning out right now on the popularity contest of gaming. And it's because they're creative. And it's because they see potential. And you got to understand how Nintendo and Pokemon, they could have done all the things that Palworld did. Made the game funner, made the game more interesting. But they focused on money above all. And it made them dumb. And that's just one corporate example. I mean, you can look around the world and you will see these scenarios where the big monopoly who has all the money, they just sue people. That's all they attack people with money. They don't attack people with creativity or new ideas or fairness. Like, it's about anti-fairness when you become one of these guys who has all the money. And this is why I'm trying to tell you about game theory. You got to understand, a billionaire is playing an entirely different game of life than you are, okay? They're playing a game where they have all these companies, and they have to keep these companies profitable. They have to keep them growing and growing. Like, not only does money make you stupid, it also makes you a slave. So these billionaires are tied to all these companies and all this propaganda about how their companies are going to save the world. You can see how these people are delusional. They've lost all sense of reality. With the assistance of a lot of stupid people, right? There's a lot of stupid people praising people with money. You got to understand how there's delusional poor people, there's delusional rich people worshiping money, and they're retarded together. They're really creating a retarded world through money. And I think you get my point there. And I want to point out, like, in my life, what I'm trying to do is have the land, have the resources, and have the skills, have the mind, have the wisdom. Like, I want the whole package of life. Money could never replace this experience, what I've gone through, what I can do, what I will do. It's a very free-flowing existence that I experience here, because I don't give a damn about money, and I know it's a fool's game. I did a previous video talking about the one eye versus money, because I think the original form of money is your values. Duh, it's like, what do you put value in? Huh? I put value in the truth and peace. And if I've learned anything, money is not going to get you that. Money is the opposite. Money will bring you a horrible mind and a scarcity mindset of how I need to defend my money and grow my empire and breed kids so I can pass down the generations. And like, you just have to understand how destructive and stupid money is. And it's not necessary for life. It is not necessary. It's necessary for slavery, period. And so the slaves worship the money, which worship is just attention. So every day they raise up to go make money, which they pay attention to, right? And they worship it. And that's this whole capitalist society has found a way for people to worship energy instead of paying attention to their consciousness, paying attention to the skills that they have. Because money cannot replace real things. It's a fake thing. It's temporary. It won't last. It wasn't meant to last. It's a Ponzi scheme. Especially money that is backed by your trust in government. Holy crap, dude. Like, if you look back at any time in history, this has never happened. You've had at least a gold backing. You've at least had people with a piece of paper saying, hey, give me something real for this piece of paper. Well, we've been in 50 years, right? I think since like the 70s, they went off of the gold standard, and we've been in 50 years of printing money in faith in a government, right? Like faith in a god, faith in a religion, faith in the empire, right? It's interesting how these empires rise and fall, and how they're just the stupidest people lead them. Because I'm just telling you, if I was in charge of this country, you could make this country the most successful business that's ever been run. You just end all your wars, you bring all your manufacturing home, you end all the taxes, you let people go out and work the land. It's just like freedom. Duh. But that's not the way that money and psychopaths and empires go. It's an artificial scarcity destruction of the creativity and the potential of a place. And that's just what America is right now. And it's going to be interesting to watch. I had to change the angle of the camera because it's getting shaded where I was sitting. I got a giant pine tree right behind me kind of blocking the sun. So, you know, making these videos, you gotta make sure you're at least in the sunlight or something. I know I don't do the best production. I like to just let it ride and let it be raw right in front of you. So, like in all of my talks, I'd like to end them with, like, what could you do about this problem I'm bringing up, right? Like, money makes you stupid. It's a pretty obvious problem going on with society, but what can you do about it, right? You go directly to the source, which means, like, you do not hire people to do things that you can do. You don't hire people to paint your closet, to paint your room. You don't hire somebody to clean your house. Like, good God, these people have money, they can't even clean their houses anymore. You know, they look so lowly on people that they're like, oh, I could hire somebody to do that because I have all the money in the world. Like, real pathetic people. They won't even clean their houses anymore. I'm just telling you, like, if you want to not be stupid and really live life to the fullest here, you got to get money out of your mind, and you just got to go directly to the thing that you want here. For me, it's been freedom. Whatever. People can think I'm crazy, I'm this or I'm that. Whatever. You're free to think that is the beauty of freedom in the first place. Is everybody's free to be wrong. And, hey, that's my value. That's what I have directly seeked is my freedom. And I'm still trying to get rid of, like, I don't want to pay anybody taxes. I don't want to pay anybody anything to live. It's wrong. It will always be wrong. So it's not like I'm there, but I've made some headway, right? Since I was a child who accepted and was taught to accept slavery. So you have to directly stick your hands in the dirt, stick your hands in the earth to fix this. You have to directly work with your own consciousness and change it and stop going to the easy stuff all the time. Stop going to the material explanation that makes you feel good, right? You have to have a direct connection with nature, which means you got to have a direct connection with yourself, with your mind, your heart, and everything around you. You don't have middlemen. You don't have a Bible, right? You don't have a book to reference. You don't have an authority to ask, like, what am I supposed to do when this? No. You have to live a life to where you figure these things out, okay? That's what I'm telling you, is direct connection to yourself, to eternity, to everything. Because what's going on in this material plane, it's a prison. And now I really understand why this whole concept of a prison planet is so popular. So I'm giving you these ideas of, like, how do you not be stupid and don't have to use money? Go directly to the source. Get your water from the well, okay? Get your wood stove and burn wood in the winter, okay? So you don't have to spend money. Just do direct things that get you to live the life you want, regardless of what other people think, regardless of what you're thinking about, to just do it. That's kind of the whole point, is getting that middleman that says you need to make money to pay these people and to be afraid, and all that crap needs to go if you ever want to truly not be stupid, right? You gotta, if you want to realize your sovereignty, realize the creativity and potential you have, you got to let go of what everybody else is saying. You got to let go of what all the books are saying and be right here, right now, present in the moment, and willing to make a mistake, willing to be open about things, all right? It's a major theme with these people who have a lot of money and are really stupid. They're closed-minded, and they want to force their ideas onto you. And they do it through money, and they get a bunch of slaves to think the way they want them to think, through tricking them with fake space and rockets and technology. They use money to manipulate people's minds. It's extremely simple. They're stupid, and the people being hypnotized are stupid. That's why you got to get creative, and you got to fall on your face and get back up and build resilience within your mind to where nobody can tell you nothing. It's one of my favorite sayings. You get to this sovereign point because you have directly experienced your spirit, your essence, you've directly experienced, oh, I'm a cartoon character, this is a big fantasy, and people are drunk on materialism in the first place. Once you have that deep knowing, nobody can tell you nothing, because they're possessed by the material, okay? So I think that's a pretty obvious answer, is to get direct with things. Don't make money, live your life, and it means you're going to have to farm. It means you're going to have to build shelters. It means you're going to have to be a damn man and get creative, right? And not a money worshiper who takes the easy, convenient route, and the more money you make, the more slavery is produced here. You have to kind of get to that point in consciousness and realize, whoa, the more money I make, the more debt I produce, the more power you give to these systems of trickery. And that's why they make everybody pay taxes, and you have to live through money, because it destroys you. Now, I talk about this direct connection with nature. And I was talking to my mom like a couple weeks ago, and she's just like, what do I do to figure these things out that you figured out? And I'm like, go sit in nature, take all the electronics off your body, go sit there and silent your mind, and just sit there in silence in nature, and every answer will come to you. That's why there's so much noise going on and so much TV drama, internet drama, so you don't just sit quietly, directly with nature and let the truth come to you. Let things pop up, right? Like a new growth, a new idea. Instead, people are frazzled and they're stuck in their minds constantly from one thing to the next, and they can't just let it go and let the new thing blossom, It's real simple. And how all you got to do is take your consciousness back, take your creative powers back, be poor for a little bit. I'm telling you, like, I'm very poor. And don't bother me. It's something you have to get through in your mind. You gotta be fine with it. Status is sickening. It's a gross trick that these people play on you. Make you envy others. I mean, those are the dumbest people in the world. All these people looking up to movie stars and getting their Botox injections to look like a model or something. It's just, it all goes back to being possessed by material and not being a wise, eternity-minded person. Empires, they play 100-year games, They only last a couple 100 years, and America's about there. It's crazy just to see people that are probably eternal, worshiping temporary crap that's only going to hurt them and everybody here. And to me, it's just so simple. The answers are actually so unbelievably simple. So, find a way to get money out of your life best you can. It is what it is. I understand we all have a very different scenarios going on. I've got to go find a job eventually. I've got to get back into it, right, and hustle up a buck. But while I'm hustling up that buck, I understand that what I'm putting my hands towards will help people and will not hurt them. So if you got to make money inside of the evil beast system, just make sure that it's going towards a better future for you and everybody else. Like, put it bluntly, don't do anything with technology. They can't say that. There's got to be some avenues of technology that can help us, but don't do anything with AI, right? Like, that's a consciousness killer. And that's their big weapon system that they're unleashing on the public right now. So don't do anything AI. It's just, it's pathetic. I've already seen too much of it. It's only been out for a couple years, and it's like, God, got sick of that real quick. It's not entertaining at all. It's real slop. I could ramble on and on, guys, but I love you. Have fun in the clown world.